5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
There were many actions we had to try and avoid. Walking was never very successful. We used walking progressively less and less as the series progressed, and ways were devised to show people arriving into rooms and sitting down by cutting away to other characters in the middle of conversations.
The reason that we didn't walk the puppets very much in full length was because it didn't look human enough, I think, was the reason. It's all right with like a cartoon character to give it a funny sort of walk with a puppet, but with these that looked more human, you could never really get the walk to look convincing.
But I always tried to be a bit more ambitious. For instance, in an episode called The Cham Cham, Lady Penelope had to do a kind of slow foxtrot across the ballroom floor with one of the characters.
Well, it's certainly funny that our paths have never crossed before, Miss L'Amour. I know most of the warblers in show business.
Oh, I've been around, you know. High society keeps me pretty busy.
Tintin and Lady Penelope had to go skiing. And Parker had to fall down in a snowball down one of the Alps.
Oh, my goodness. They appear to be heading this way. Oh dear, I'm sure this isn't doing Parker's vertigo any good.
Oh, I must apologise for the unconventional entrance, milady.
We had lots of inserts of human hands. These puppets could only do certain movements, or if they had to do special movements, it was enormously time-consuming to get them to do it. So that we'd often have one of the characters, Scott or Alan Tracy, reaching forward painfully as if to touch something, and then we'd cut to a very human hand dressed in a rubber glove pushing a button or pulling a lever. It never quite worked. It never convinced the viewers, I don't think. They saw through it all. They saw this was a real hand and not a puppet. But I think it was one of the gimmicks that endeared the series to its viewers. I quite liked the fact that they never looked totally real. I think that was part of the charm, that they were not real, that they were almost real, but not quite. And I think that was what engaged them to lots of the viewers and the fans.
But as far as I'm concerned, it didn't matter. If the figure's strong enough in its character, you won't notice strings or anything else.
Strings? What do they mean, strings? I certainly never noticed any strings. And there's another equally dastardly rumor involving the use of synthetic material.
Polystyrene was the main material that was used. It had only just entered the scene in those days, but it was a very interesting material inasmuch as it looked different to what it was. It looked like a rock in some cases. You could paint it and put it on the set and shape it. It was very light, portable, so it could be used as a wall. I think that was the main new material that we used. Interiors of television sets, radios, toothpaste tube tops, whatever, as long as it had wires and junctions in and looked important.
You know, we made 32 episodes of Thunderbirds, at least so far. and we seem to have become rather famous all over the world. But you know, there's always one thing that's bothered me. I've always felt as British as the rain in summertime. So, how come I'm an American?
When Thunderbirds was made, and indeed today to an extent, British programmes were not welcome in America. They were very, very difficult to sell in the States. And here I was making shows that were extremely expensive and needed to sell well in America to get their money back.
Oh, bang on. Jolly good show. How am I doing, Penny?
Oh, splendidly, Jeff.
And having thought about it, I decided that we in this country are well used to watching American product. We don't resent it and we understand it. And also the subject was about modern technology, space technology and so on. So I thought, well, the best thing to do is make it as an American show.
Dash clever, what?
When we went to the States, yes, people believed they were American shows, bought them, and the money came back to this country and we were able to make more serious.
Well, thanks for dropping by, but I really must be getting on with my experiment. Oh, before I go, I thought you might like to have a look at some rare archive footage from the making of the Thunderbirds series. It was made in 1965, so it's in black and white. As they say in the movies, that's all, folks.
And so another scene in the adventures of international rescue is shot at the AP Film Studios in Slough, the safety town. Supermarionation is a new dimension in adult entertainment, and the actors start here in the puppet workshop under the guidance of Birmingham sculptor John Brown. Heads are first made in plasticine, then moulded in glass fibre. Moving lips and eyes are added, and then the crowning glory, the hair in the latest styles. Each main character has up to 5 heads with different expressions to suit the mood. The rest of the puppet is made in a plastic and is in the perfect proportion of 1/3 human stature, with the hands and feet to suit the fitting. Any character can be made up from these interchangeable components. Each dressed puppet costs between £250 and £300. Often, 2 units are shooting at once, so an identical twin is made. Of the 4 film stages used for shooting Thunderbirds, 2 are for the special effects department under the inventive control of director Derek Meddings.
Derek, how do you evolve the futuristic designs of your models?
Well, usually I just start doodling on a pad, and whatever happens, that's usually what we get in the time. Sometimes we have to dress them up a bit.
What limits do you put on probability?
Well, there aren't any limits as far as we're concerned. We try anything, and if it doesn't work, then we usually cut round it. But 9 times out of 10, they work. There isn't any, as far as we're concerned, nothing is impossible in the special effects.
How many special effects go into an episode?
Well, they vary. Some, mostly, they're around about 90 per hour. Some, they range up to 105. We've had as many as 130 in a film. And then we've really got problems.
What are your greatest problems in the effect line?
Anything that flies. Because it's always the wires, losing the wires against cloud and blue sky. So we have to, we have secret little ways of doing it. And I'd rather not say how it's done.
How do you maintain such realism?
Well, we do little things that I think people they're not aware of when they look at a vehicle. But if a vehicle goes through screen, then we do a dust trail behind it. So there's always a certain amount of dust coming from the back of the truck or lorry, car, whatever it is. And then we have all the wheels sprung independently so that they get this movement and they don't just bounce up and down like a toy. And shooting at high speed, around about 72 frames, and sometimes as much as 120.
That's as opposed to?
24.
which is a normal film
Yes,
frame.
but we can't shoot at 24. There's very few shots we can do at 24 on the special effects. Even if we shoot water, we always have to shoot at 72 frames so that it slows it down just that right amount to give us the realism again. Boats, things like this, we use little gadgets on the back that give us the wake. These are the things, if they're not there, people know that something's wrong with the shot, and they're not really sure what it is, but if it's there, they just accept it. It's just like using any other, or just like watching any other boat going through a picture.
When you were a boy, were you fascinated by explosions?
Yeah, I'm very destructive by nature. I think that's why I'm in the special effects.
Backstage, there's a vast empire of scenic design and model making. Everything is custom designed and built to scale. Houses, spaceports, Thunderbird craft, vehicles down to guns and watches. After use, they're either stored for the future or scavenged for new creations. All the models are identically reproduced in various scales to suit the scene, and a perfect continuity must be maintained. It's a model maker's paradise, spoiled only by the dirtying down process needed to give realism. Every kind of material is utilized, and the ingenuity of the operatives is endless, a great challenge that adds to the appeal. The puppets work on the sets under blistering arc lights 10 times stronger than normal, and their actions are controlled by 12-foot wires from above.
Well, son, just you get settled down for the night.
Gosh, Dad, how can I settle down in all this excitement?
Well,
The pre-recorded dialogue is fed through a lip-sync machine, and the word impulses are transmitted to a solenoid in the character's head, causing the lips to move in perfect time with its voice. This near realism is synonymous with all the work done by the AP film team of over 100.
You be a good boy and get off to sleep.
The series is shot in full Eastman colour and is already being shown in Canada, Australia, Holland and Japan. But what is the adult appeal? The best man to answer this is Thunderbirds creator Jerry Anderson.
Well, of course, this is a question I would like to know the answer to, because we very much want the films to have adult appeal. I think that it's probably the technical fascination of seeing model characters and model machines behave in a realistic way on the screen. I think it is the wonderment, much the same way as with the Disney cartoons. One looked at animated figures and couldn't believe that they in fact weren't real. And of course I think from the point of view of creating fantasy, it is important to make fantasy as believable as possible so that it is acceptable. This is what we try to do.
What of the future? Live actors?
Well, this is a difficult one to answer. It's a question we ask ourselves at least once a week. I would very much like to make films with live actors, but of course the problem is that with live actors you have to accept their faces as they are. I don't think it would be quite as simple to get the strong characters that we succeed in getting in our films. And of course, there would be many difficulties in creating the sort of situations we create at the moment with live artists. But I think one day, yes, we hope so.
Whether the actors are human or puppets, Thunderbirds adds up to a unique contribution to world entertainment. Thunderbirds are go. FAB.